As someone who's done it all, seen it all, and still sees people doing it, is there a suggestion, trick, or tip you would give to current teams on the scene that you think would help their matches today?
Yeah, look, I think some of the things I said, and I also know I sound like a bitter old man. I realize that, and it doesn't fall on deaf ears. I hear it, and I don't mean to sound that way, but I do think, because look, the tempo has picked up. Whether I like it, whether you like it, the tempo has picked up. Now we're going to talk about some of the things that I think suffer in that when that happens. And one of the things I think is selling. Like, you cannot, if you're going in this fast pace, you can't sell these things as much as you should. And especially the bigger the move gets, and they're getting pretty friggin' big, is you're just popping back up and going into another sequence right after that. And so that's the bitter old man in me. I think we could meet in the middle and make it a little more realistic. It's just we've gone very far in nothing hurts me. And I understand it gets a decent reaction when somebody super kicks me and I recoil into the ropes and then come right back and rip their head off with a clothesline. Okay, that got a pop. But what did it do to the credibility, and I know I can't believe I'm saying this about pro wrestling, but the credibility of the contest? You know what I mean? Like, what? And so that's my old bitter rant. What was the question again, Ryan?
I mean, we were talking about tips for the youngsters coming up to make their matches better, but it makes sense.
So I think
slowing down and selling.
Yeah, I think my message would then be sell. And look, I think you sell appropriately. I'm not telling you, if the guy hits you with a super kick and hits you in the shoulder, you don't have to sell your jaw or be knocked out. You can go down and hold your shoulder and get back up like, oh, he just barely got me. You know what's coming next if you've already put this stuff together. You know where you need to be for the next thing. You can sell it accordingly. But what I mean is by how you get hit. Wherever you get hit, sell that. Because what I hate is when you see somebody get choked over the top ropes and their arms are over the ropes. You know their throat didn't hit it, but yet they still sell back holding their throat. And it's like, you can do the exact same sell and make it more realistic by just selling your underarm. Like, God darn, that hurt. Yep. That rope pinched me, and create a bunch of space, walk away, come back around, and there we are right back where we needed to be again. So I just think making things look like they're difficult, selling more, taking your time, I think the storytelling that they're doing is good. They got it down pat. I just think, I just got to get used to this fast tempo, man. This fast tempo. But look, I would also tell them, you don't feel your stuff out and listen to your instincts. You got somewhere or wherever you're at now by kind of doing what you do. So if I watch their matches, I would have some feedback for them. But until then, I don't know that there's any, other than tuck your chin and communicate in the ring. Because look, I think that's one of the most important things in the entire communication in the ring. If you don't have that, or it's broken, or it's lost, or we're lost and now we're somebody's going to get hurt and we're into the danger zone, and none of it's going to look good.
When talking about the speed and the pace, do you think that pretty much every wrestler goes through a point, an epiphany in their career where they realize, I should slow down?
Yeah,
and there's
smarter,
just that switch happens.
Smarter, not harder. I mean, that's the whole mantra, right? Is when you get a little wiser, and you will. Look, when me and Billy we were beating the crap out of the Road Warriors. We were beating the crap out of Mick Foley and Terry Funk. We were beating the crap out of Bradshaw. Look, they were beating the crap out of us too, but that's just how it went. You know what I mean? That's just how we did it. So
you guys are men that like to eat some potatoes.
We like potatoes. You know what I'm saying? It was just how it was too at the time. Look, 5 years from then, I'm going, man, we don't have to do, all I got to do is my jabs, and then I'll sell down in the buckle and let you kick me in the turnbuckle a couple times.
So back then, everyone potatoed everyone, and today we just drop each other on our necks
on their
and heads.
Yes, and kick each other really hard today. But I was doing that back then too. But you know what it is, when you're young and hungry and in that, it's not stiff. It's just, you just play rough. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's not, nobody's punching anybody in the face. And if somebody gets their nose broke, it's an accident. And everybody kind of understands that. And what was also different back then is, if you had a problem with somebody when you got to the back, you settled it. And that was that. And the next night you went about your business. You know what I mean? Nowadays it's, that wouldn't happen. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was a fan of physicality. I liked getting a little snug, but
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know if I can take it anymore these days.
Well, that's
I'm a
all.
little
And
soft in my
and,
life.
Yeah, and so how do I do that? What and look, at some point it begins. You realize you're mortal, and you begin to question your longevity, and you go like, okay, I can't continue hitting people as hard as I can and jumping off the top rope and doing all this. What can I do that's equally, and again, the secret is maximize your strengths, minimize your weaknesses, and dance around it, and bullcrap the bullcrappers.
What turned you into being such a fan of tag team wrestling?
So when I was real young, my dad, of course, was one of the owners and part booker of Continental Championship Wrestling and Southeastern Championship Wrestling, and it might have even been Southeastern at the time. Excuse me, I was real young, and there was a tag team called the Nightmares, and it was Danny Davis of
OVW.
OVW fame, that everybody knows from that, and Kenny Wayne, which is everybody knows him for something different, and we'll leave that there. But it was Kenny Wayne and Danny Davis, and they worked as the Nightmares, and they had trunks just alike. Their bodies looked very similar, and they wore masks that were exactly alike with a one big star over one eye. And so they could do the twin magic. They were from Memphis and so they did Memphis tag team spots that were both entertaining. They could turn it on as his heels and get good heat, or they could be taking entertaining butt whooping. You know what I mean? And so when I saw them at a young age, and they're not big dudes, they were not, but they got away with the stuff because they were sneaky and cheated and also the one move Kenny Wayne would do, he'd get clotheslined over the top rope and hit his head on the apron going down. And I stole that from him, and I used to do that my whole early career. I would try to hit my head going down on the clotheslines over the top because I just thought, for once I thought he broke his neck, and I thought that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And so then I watched him do it time and time again, and I thought, I'm going to do that when I get there.
And you did. So the first time you tried that, did you spike yourself, or did you?
No. I missed the whole apron because I went too fast and my hands hit the apron. My head was nowhere near it. But I perfected it at a time, and it's almost like you can spike yourself a little bit if you do it. You ever seen Van Damme take a RKO? Yep. You know what I mean? So they kind of prop themselves. Morrison can do it too. Yeah, you can kind of end up doing that on the apron, and it looks like it spikes yourself too. So it was. Once I got a little heavier, I stopped doing that.
Dogg, what's your favorite tag team match of all time?
So
pressure.
Yeah, no, it looked the first one that pops in my mind, and because I thought about this, and the more I thought, the crazier I went inside my head, was Rock and Roll Express versus the Andersons.
And that was Starrcade 86, I believe.
Starrcade 86. So I was a junior in high school. You know what I mean? So literally, like, this is, and I think, I don't even know if this is true, but I feel like maybe Brad was on that show in a different match or something. I don't know. I may be wrong there. Mm-hmm. What I love about it is the Andersons at that time were just ruthless. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a Road Warriors thing where they come at you like a helicopter of fists and feet. It was a diabolical dissection of their opponents, and it was in a way, because Ole was a mean old booger, and he would just beat the crap out of people, and then they would pray to get Arn in there because Arn could work, and so but the way they worked was believable, and Rock and Roll are these underdogs that you just know can't survive this onslaught. And so again, it ties into the emotions and the dynamic of the relationships. And now there's the Andersons. Are they blood? Are they not? The Rock and Roll's been together forever, and it's just the whole dynamic is interesting to me, man.
Can you believe that the Rock and Roll is still doing shows?
Still doing
together
it.
Here,
I just saw them at a signing not long ago, and they worked that night. And I thought to myself, I couldn't walk to the ring right now, I don't think. And Ricky's doing suicide dives. I
remember that moment of embarrassment when Rhea Ripley won the championship, and I was sent into the ring for the celebration with all the fans. And just jumping up from that celebration, my legs were shaking in exhaustion. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And how did I let myself go so bad?
Yeah, how did I get here? Oh, I remember now.
Yeah, a little bit of.
It's just a flashback of me and donuts and ho-hos. Yeah, and that.
All right, I think we can maybe pull up those clips later and maybe watch some of that if we have some time. But let me keep
and
going
even
right
if we
now.
even if we don't, go look up that match, because look, it was a beating, and there were times of you'll see what I'm talking about with the hope of fighting back, and then, oh, here they go, and they take it away from you, and I don't know, man, I just love it. I love it.